for Arizona State was about the 3Ds, okay? Defense, determination, and dismissal. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time to meet us on Mill because Arizona State, they did the thing for the first time in 7 games. Your Sun Devils getting the dub over at Kansas State, 66-54. Welcome in to the PHNX Sun Devils show. Of course, we're coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Guys, join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. I am Anthony Totri, joined as always by the one, the only Captain Redbeard behind the Mac. That's right, you heard the news of the day. Eric Ruby has been dismissed from today's show. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. I can't believe it. I cannot believe what we saw from the Arizona State Sun Devils today. We're getting into that. We're getting into Jayden Quaintance. We're getting into Amir Ali, BJ Freeman, hot or not, Bobby Board. My goodness, grab a drink, grab a snack, and buckle up because we have one of the most electric post-game shows covering the Arizona State Sun Devils that you guys will feast your ears and eyes on. Starting off with the offense. That's where I want to start today. I know we could take it a bunch of different directions. We could get into BJ Freeman, which I promise we will at some point on the post-game show, but the offense for me is what stood out from everything else today. You had much better shot selection. The spacing looked better. The rotations, tough to evaluate because it already is a slim rotation of just 6-7 guys at this point. But it felt like a cohesive unit for the first time, not just during this Big 12 losing streak, but in reality, it felt like the first time we've seen an offense look like this at Arizona State all season long. There have been games against lesser opponents, and say what you want about Kansas State missing one of their top players, but regardless, it looked like Arizona State had control of this game offensively from the jump. Of course, the freshmen, Jayden Quaintance, Amir Ali, Josan Sannon, they all did their parts. And I know there are going to be some people that hear Josan Sannon and you watch the game and you'll be like, well, he didn't drop 20 points. He didn't have a great night shooting from the floor, and that's fine. That's something that we've seen from Josan Sannon for a number of games. But it is what he did outside of scoring for me that was nice to see, right? And then you have those performances like he got tonight from Amir Ali where he was just, raining threes. Was it the offense? Was it BJ Freeman not being in the mix anymore? Did some of these guys feel a little bit more confident? Was it about getting revenge on the road? There are a number of different things that you can argue and make points about as it relates to this win, but I tweeted it out. This one was a breath of fresh air for Bobby Hurley, for Arizona State. This was a win that you needed to get at this point in the season with the guys that you had on the floor. Say what you want about the dismissal, but being able to get to this point in the season, getting a conference win, turning it around at this stage was key. Now, what does that mean for Bobby Hurley long term? Of course, we got the basketball and the football guy in the chat saying Bobby Hurley for the next 10 years. I'm going to go ahead and say that is an Arizona Wildcat fan. We got Emily in here saying go Devils. Absolutely. Like, in reality, man, like, there's not going to be a lot to save Hurley's job, in my personal opinion, my estimation. But this one was a breath of fresh air for the fans. They needed it. They needed to be able to turn on the TV on a Sunday afternoon and see a 5-star freshman go for nearly 20 points, have the defensive performance that they did. This one never felt in doubt. Arizona State at one point up 15 points late in this one, and I sat there right as Kansas State had taken a timeout or there was a dead ball timeout, and I was like, okay, you were up 15 on this team before, and you lost in a heartbreaking fashion. You controlled this game from start to finish. Do you finish strong? Do you let them come back in the game the way that we've seen Arizona State do a number of times this season? And the answer to that question was a resounding no for Arizona State. There was no point where this one felt like Kansas State was going to claw back into it at any point. This was a game top to bottom that was well coached. It was well played. It was well executed, especially offensively. We'll get into the numbers a little bit later on into the show. But for Arizona State, offensively in the first half, they shot 40% from the floor and 33% from three. At that point, I was like, okay, they're having a decent afternoon shooting the ball. And in the second half, it got even better, up to 54% from the floor and 42% from three. The free throw numbers a little shaky, 62% there in that second half. But overall for Arizona State, there was no trouble breaking Kansas State's defense. That zone that Kansas State threw out there, that 2-3 zone in the first half and the second half, it was a soft zone. They were begging and daring Jayden Quaintance, Amir Ali, Adam Miller, Bashir Jihad to take some of those threes that we've seen Arizona State take a number of times this season before, and they were hitting them. Amir Ali was a big factor in Arizona State's win. He needed this game to build on his confidence throughout the rest of the season, because I'll tell you what, we're going to be seeing a lot more Amir Ali with BJ Freeman no longer on this roster. Jayden Quaintance playing the 4, having Sean Phillips be a 5 out there. I loved being able to see both those bigs out there and have an impact. Jayden Quaintance, yes, he's a big freshman, but I think playing the 4 today was big for him defensively, getting back from injury still, offensively going up against some smaller 4s, and then being able to distribute the basketball as well. Not a ton of assists tonight for Jayden Quaintance, but overall, it felt like he was the focal point of Arizona State's offense. It started with Jayden Quaintance. There were different post moves. He was hitting those 3-point shots. Everything that we saw from Jayden Quaintance, Amir Ali, and Josan Sannon, I know, take that with a grain of salt, is what you needed to see, what you wanted to see, what you have been banging on your kitchen table to see for the last 6 games and for all of Big 12 play. You've been asking yourself, why? Why can't this team get it done? Why can't they do it? They get consistent scoring from BJ Freeman, but it's not enough. Why can't they hold on late in games? Why can't the defense improve? They answered all of those questions today. Going into it, this morning, it was like, okay, well, BJ Freeman got dismissed. That news broke 2 hours before tip. Probably going to be a gross game. Probably going to be a game that we're looking back on and you're saying, well, Arizona State, you didn't really expect them to win this one. Big 12 game on the road, Kansas State. They're a team that can play really hot with the best of them, or they can be ice cold as bad as Colorado. Which team were you going to get? It didn't matter, in all honesty. I don't think if Kansas State was playing the way that they played even in the first game, that Arizona State would have had trouble doing what they did today. They dominated offensively, like we said, and defensively. Defensively was masterful. The way that Arizona State's defense would collapse at any point, the few rare times that those Kansas State guards opted to try and penetrate that defense, they just couldn't get over the size. They couldn't beat a Jayden Quaintance at the 4, who's a 6'10", 6'11" center. You weren't able to get inside the paint and deal with Sean Phillips. Sean Phillips continues to improve, it seems, game over game for Arizona State. And that means with that size, you had Bashir playing the 3. There's not really a 3 in this conference that matches up size-wise with Bashir Jihad. And then Austin Mason defensively as well, doing what he did. Like, it was a top to bottom, like I said, 100% beautiful win for Arizona State. Again, the questions linger long term. What does this mean for Hurley? What does this mean for those guys that you saw on the roster today that have eligibility to come back? They said it on the broadcast, right? Amir Ali, Jayden Quaintance, Josan Sannon, and the Arizona State fan base should be excited about what they have long-term in the future, but what is that long-term future as it relates to those guys and the rest of this roster? Captain Redbeard, you were the only one sitting with me in this office. You were here when I got here, and we both had that same look of like, okay, is it another Arizona State basketball outing? BJ Freeman, again, no longer with the program. We didn't know what we were going to get already. You remove Arizona State's leading points per game scorer for the season. You boot him off the team for conduct detrimental to the team and an accumulation of it. And the Sun Devils come out on the road and they look the best they've looked in months. What do you think of that?
I thought it was great. Obviously not the BJ part, but everything else was great. They kept saying it, on the broadcast. ASU is a much better road basketball team, and they played one of the best games of the season. Offense, ball was moving almost every possession. The ball was moving around, which we just haven't seen, and we actually look like a basketball team.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's something that Eric and I have really been hounding on the last, year. The shot selection for this team, most nights, most afternoons, most mornings, is questionable. They fall in love with those 30-footers that they hit, and it's almost like, oh man, that one went in. We need to keep shooting those. That's where they build their confidence offensively. Today, it wasn't like that. It didn't feel like they got overwhelmed or overconfident with some of those shots. When I say that the confidence offensively was different tonight, it felt like they knew that there was a point in which, for like Quaintance, for example, if I'm in the post and it's just me and another guy, I'm going up every single time. The same thing with Sean Phillips. They felt like their size was such a mismatch for this team that offensively, if they got to a spot on the floor that they liked, they were taking those shots, as opposed to every other game we've seen during this 6-game losing streak where it's been like, okay, we aren't hitting anything. The one guy that's hitting those 30-footers or the crazy shots, that's where we need to be kicking the offense. Today, they were left open for some of those looks, some of those 30-footers, some of those questionable three-point shots, and it felt like today they made the extra pass, and that extra pass felt like the difference in this game offensively, especially when you are missing another piece of the rotation. And I say missing loosely because he won't be back for this team, but to be able to go out there again, for national media, for everybody locally to have that heads up just 2 hours, and then to come out there and then really not miss a beat, look even better offensively than you've done at certain points this year, is really almost a head scratcher to me. Because I know there's going to be people saying, was BJ Freeman the problem, right? And I don't think BJ Freeman was the problem by any means, right? You look back to the last few years of Bobby Hurley basketball. This is the third time over the last couple of years that there has been a dismissal or a departure from the team. You obviously have BJ Freeman this year, which is a handful of games left. You had Jose Perez not play in the Pac-12 tournament last season. He left. You have Marcus Bagley get dismissed from the team a few years back for other issues. Like, this is something that has now become a new normal for Arizona State fans, and to go out there and perform this way is just something special, I think, for Arizona State fans. Again, I know there's still a lot of discomfort and dissatisfaction with the season as a whole, but like Vontez Buckshanks says in the chat, food has taste again. The Arizona State Sun Devils got the dub. I do want to get to By the Numbers, presented by Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union, named by Forbes. Let's go ahead, get to the only number that matters, and that's that final score in favor of Arizona State for the first time in a long time. 66 for the Devils, 54 for Kansas State. That's right, Jayden Quaintance, the leading scorer for Arizona State with 18 tonight. Guessing tonight for Kansas State with 20. The way they shot from the floor tonight, 33% for Kansas State, 22 of 66 for Kansas State, 46% from the floor for Bobby Hurley's squad. From three-point land, just 5 of 26 for the Wildcats, 36%, 9 of 25 for the Devils. And then the bench points tonight. For once all season, Arizona State leading the pack coming off the bench, 20 points to just 10 for Kansas State. Something we haven't seen for Arizona State in a long time is the Sun Devils edging the other team when it comes to bench points. Again, 20 for Arizona State. A big part of that, of course, being Amir Ali coming off the bench. Joe Sansanin, he added to the mix as well. And it feels like the first time in a long time that Arizona State didn't lead the game in turnovers. Kansas State had 14 turnovers on the afternoon. Arizona State meeting about their season average with 12. The defense is it's, again, I just have no words. We haven't seen Arizona State's defense play like that this season, which is almost questionable when you look at the season as a whole, because that's what Bobby Hurley teams have done for the last 3, 4, 5 years is they played really, really good defense. This year, that hasn't been the case, but this afternoon's game, they played their best defensive game of the season, and it really, really showed. Look, I know there are some people listening on audio. There's some people probably social media in the chat saying, why haven't we talked about BJ Freeman? Well, we'll get to BJ Freeman on the other side of this first break. Guys, I don't know about you, but 27 to me feels like the new 66, okay? I wake up, got back pain, aches, it's a lot, okay? Yesterday, I went golfing, slept all right, but woke up with a little back pain. So, the easy answer for me to fix it was cornbread hemp. Guys, if you guys are looking for a healthier way to relieve those aches and pains while getting a better night's sleep, you guys can try Cornbread Hemp's USDA organic CBD gummies. Cornbread offers the first USDA organic CBD gummy in the United States, and they help with stress relief, better recovery, and improved sleep, something that I think everybody here at PHNX could use, myself included. So here's what sets Cornbread CBD gummies apart. It's full spectrum, USDA certified organic. It's vegan, dairy-free, and gluten-free with no artificial flavors or preservatives, okay? Cornbread offers free shipping and backs all products with their 30-day Better Life guarantee. If you want to give Cornbread a try, they're offering PHNX listeners 30% off your first order. Just visit cornbreadhemp.com/PHNX and use that promo code PHNX at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/PHNX and use that code PHNX for 30% off your first order. This is the good life. Now, I know there are still some people getting used to my haircut. I am still getting used to my haircut. So if you see me at the gym, you see me walking around this PHNX office, you see me grocery shopping, I'm probably wearing a hat from our friends over at Branded Bills. Make sure you elevate your brand with Branded Bills, the perfect headwear and apparel. They got something for everybody, whether you need snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, or tees. Branded Bills, they got you covered with performance and style. So if you're looking for some gear to maybe make your brand stand apart from the crowd, Branded Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear. Start your order, and their dedicated team is going to help you create the exact custom apparel that you need. Take it from some folks here at PHNX that went over to Branded Bills, saw how they do it, saw the process, saw the hard work that they put in. Head to brandedbills.com and use that code PHNX for 20% off your first order. Guys, we appreciate everybody taking time out of their day. Again, whether you are watching live, listening after the fact, listening on audio, we do appreciate everybody taking some time to chat about Arizona State hoops. Make sure you hit that like button, you hit the subscribe button, and you drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts if you haven't already. Let's go ahead. Let's dive into BJ Freeman a little bit, because BJ Freeman is a guy that for Arizona State has been very consistent. All season long, he's been the guy that Arizona State could turn to when they needed points offensively. We've seen it. Again, this guy led the team in points per game all season long. 13 points per game for the Sun Devils. Now, those 13 points per game, they have been needed for Bobby Hurley's offense. They weren't necessarily missed today, which is a thing that I didn't expect to say going into this post-game show. You look at what BJ Freeman has done offensively for Arizona State in just the month of February alone. 19 points against the Wildcats, 14 points in the first meeting against Kansas State, 21 points in a double overtime loss to Texas Tech, 21 points against TCU, and 17 points against Houston. This is a guy that, again, he was your scorer. When you needed a certified bucket, you would go to BJ Freeman. But again, being dismissed for an accumulation of conduct detrimental to the team. Now, do I necessarily buy that answer? No, I don't necessarily think that is why BJ Freeman was dismissed from the team. You can say that he was. With that said, though, it feels like there was just a lot of frustration really mounting over the last 2 months for Arizona State, realistically, since conference play started, not just with BJ Freeman, but with the team in general, from the coaches to the players. Like, everybody just felt like it was on edge a little bit, right? Again, given the fact that there have been rumors about Bobby Hurley, this team was on a 6-game losing streak going into this game. They'd only won 3 conference games all year, 2 of which to a really bad Colorado team in conference play. So, BJ Freeman no longer a part of Arizona State. We'll get to the Bobby board a little bit later on. The Sun Devils still with a number of games left in the season makes you kind of question how this team is going to look from a depth perspective moving forward. Because you lost a guy in BJ Freeman who was a starting guard. You didn't really miss a beat today, but players were already playing a significant amount of minutes going into this stretch for the Sun Devils because the rotation and the depth of this team was already limited. Austin Nunez out for the year. You haven't seen Brandon Gardner for a while. There have been guys dealing with injuries, like a Jayden Quaintance, who it looked like went down late in the game again with another injury, didn't return. Could it be the ankle again? Could it be the knee? Josan Sannon's been dealing with injuries. If Arizona State is going to survive this stretch, and we'll talk about what survival looks like a little bit later on, you're going to need to get these big-time minutes that you got off the bench from a guy like Amir Ali. You're going to need him to be the scorer doing exactly what he did tonight. Taking calculated shots, specifically threes, because this team doesn't necessarily have a three-point assassin the way some of the other teams in this conference does. And in reality, you're going to probably need Josan Sannon to step it up just a little bit. Again, I started off the show saying I loved what you saw from Josan Sannon because of the effort defensively, because of those hustle plays offensively where he didn't even really have the ball in his hand. Okay, again, Josan Sannon today was not great from a scoring perspective. 9 points, which feels like the most we've seen from him in a while. 3 of 9 from the floor, 1 of 4 from 3, didn't miss from the charity stripe, 2 of 2, 3 boards, 1 steal, 1 block. I'll take those minutes. Would you like 18 to 20 points a game from Josan Sannon? Absolutely. Is that the expectation throughout the rest of the season, given what the month of February and January had in store? Probably not. You're probably not expecting Josan Sannon to do what he was doing at the start of the year offensively down the stretch. But you'll take 9, 10, 12 points a game coming off the bench between him and Amir Ali if Arizona State is going to continue to maybe build off of this game. And that's what you need to do. You need to build off a game like this moving forward. Okay? If Bobby Hurley is going to keep his job and head into 2026 and next season as the head coach for your Arizona State Sun Devils, they are going to need to string off some more wins down the stretch. Kansas State is not a good enough team to just throw all your eggs back in the basket for Hurley ball next season. However, with this move to dismiss BJ Freeman, the minutes you're going to see from Sannon, Ali, Quaintance, more from Phillips, these are all guys that are eligible to come back next season. They all have eligibility to return in Tempe in 2025, 2026, and that's what you want. I think all Arizona State fans want those 4 back. Now, Sean Phillips maybe was a question for some at one point in the season, but as of late, he's turned into a real big. 10 points, shot 50% from the floor, 4 of 8, 11 boards, 2 blocks. You're taking that. You're taking that every single game for Sean Phillips. He looked like a 7-footer tonight. He looked like a big man, not just offensively, but defensively is where I was most impressed from Sean Phillips. The just, for lack of better terms, the ownage of the paint was massive for Arizona State, right? We talked earlier about the collapse of that Arizona State defense anytime that Kansas State was trying to penetrate. That all falls realistically on Sean Phillips, right? And being able to do that forced Kansas State to not be able to get into a rhythm offensively. Not just the defense that he played in the interior, but there were times where they would try and switch and he would be guarding somebody out beyond the 3-point line, and he would still be able to recover. Like, he looks good defensively. Offensively, he's found a little bit of a stroke. We were joking at one point when he went to the free throw line. We're like, okay, you're going to get a 1-and-1 here. He sunk them both. You'll take that. Now, I will say, Sean Phillips, I could see that you were just oozing with confidence. There was one point where you pulled up from mid-range after those 2 free throws. I'm okay with a little bit of a heat check, but what I don't want to see is those mid-range jumpers too often from Sean Phillips. That's not necessarily something that I think Arizona State fans are going to be just begging for as the rest of the season carries on. But I'll take 10 points. I'll take 10 points and a few blocks from Sean Phillips. Fontes Buckshanks in the chat saying, let's win 4 straight. 4 straight would be a wild turn for Arizona State, given what this season has realistically been for the Sun Devils. But if they shoot off 4 straight, Kyle, are we talking about Hurley coming back next year?
There's definitely an argument. If they win 4 straight, like, I could see it. You know, he's going to bring some players back. We're going to have Bobby Ball next year.
Oh,
God. I could see it. There's a world where that happens.
I gave my perspective on it. I want yours too, because you're somebody that has been watching Arizona State basketball with us the entirety of the season, the good, the bad, the ugly, the putrid, whatever. BJ Freeman, like we said, was a guy that was consistently scoring night in and night out. Where do you feel like the absence of BJ Freeman maybe made the biggest impact for Arizona State this afternoon?
I think just other players are going to get more minutes. So Josan Sannon, more minutes. And I like that for him because in the beginning of the season, he had a lot of minutes.
Yeah, he was getting a lot of minutes.
And he was playing better because he had more playing time. And he's such a young kid. He needs that playing time to really get in a groove and develop as a player. And so now he's going to get that. And then Amir Ali as well. He's going to get some more minutes. So it's like an opportunity for these guys to step up and show what they have going, towards the end of the season. And so we'll see how they respond with that opportunity. And, in this game they did, and we'll see, over the next few, it's going to be tough, but, they're going to get more minutes, more opportunities.
Yeah.
So
I think the word that stands out to me there is groove, right? This is a team that hasn't been very rhythm-based all season long, at least not as a team. Offensively, it's felt like, okay, one guy's in a rhythm. This is where we go. But this afternoon, I think you're right. Like, Amir Ali was able to get into a bit of a rhythm. He shot, again, 3 of 6 from 3, 50% from the floor and from 3-point land. You love to see that level of efficiency from him. Josan Sannon, he did play more minutes, took 9 shots. Again, we already kind of talked about how you'd love to have a better offensive performance from him, but it takes time. It takes being able to get up those shots and play, in extended 5 to 10 to 15 minutes a game to be able to find that rhythm, I think, for some of these young guys. I think the expectation for Josan Sannon in the, from the start of the season to now, the narrative has changed so much about Josan Sannon, the expectations, what the standard looks like for him. I think because he came in as a 5-star, because he decided to swap from Arizona to Arizona State and then started off so hot, started off scoring 16, 18, 20 points a game, the expectation and the standard was, hey, this 18-year-old kid is going to come in here and he's just going to ball for us every single night. Like, that's a lofty expectation for any kid, whether he's a 5-star or not, right? So I think now that he's going to be able to, for the next few games, even going into the Big 12 tournament, get some more looks, get some more minutes, get some more freedom maybe within this offense, I think those shots might start falling. I loved from him and Adam Miller today that it wasn't the, raining down of threes that we normally see. I always talk about the shot selection and how it's those 30-footers or whatever, the bad shots. Most of the time, that's coming from Adam Miller and Josan Sannon. Like, that's just, again, you watch it. They're taking bad shots with extended time left on the shot clock. They're taking shots that are contested, that are at range, that they're just firing away. They're not good shots by any means, and they cost your team's possessions, right? So for Josan Sannon to make an extra pass tonight, to be moving off ball, for an Adam Miller to be able to set something up offensively and not take a ill-advised 3, like, the difference was huge this afternoon, right? Because we talk about rhythm, and it's not just about getting up shots, but I think it's about getting up good shots, shots that you feel confident in. I'm not sure that every single time we see Adam Miller and Joe Sansanin take a three, they feel 100% confident in that shot. It felt like this afternoon, 90% of the shots that they took and everybody else, they were like, okay, it's probably going to fall. And that's what we saw. That's why this team shot 54% in the second half, right? Like why they shot 42% from three in the second half. They felt comfortable with the shots that they were taking. They made the necessary adjustments from the first half to the second half. They figured out a rotation. They knew that the size was going to be too much for Kansas State to handle. They stepped on the gas. They didn't let off. And boom, you got yourself a dub. Your fourth dub in the Big 12. It feels like pulling teeth, right? It felt like it took everything you had to get this one, but you got one. And you never know. They can maybe start to crank off, like Vontez Buckshank said, 4 in a row. JJB, man, pour one out. One final, BJ Freeman. JJB, I'm curious because you've been a guy that since BJ Freeman committed to Arizona State, you have been banging on the table for him. What are your emotions? And I'd love to hear from everybody else in the chat. How do you guys feel about BJ Freeman being dismissed from the team this late in the year? And given everything else that's really happened, right? I feel like there was never any issues with BJ Freeman that we saw until the Arizona game, until the headbutt situation. Bobby backed him, defended him. And you know, there have been some moments, not just with BJ Freeman, but with a lot of the guys on the team, where maybe they let their emotions go a little too far on the court, and you see technicals, you see ejections, whatever. BJ Freeman, he's the one that got canned, not anybody else on this team. So let me know in the chat how you guys are feeling. We're going to go ahead and get to bottle service on the other side of this break. See what I did there? What a beautiful weekend for Arizona State fans. Obviously, getting that dub. If you guys want to have another beautiful weekend, well, mark your calendars, okay? NASCAR returns to Phoenix Raceway March 7th through the 9th. What for, you might ask? Well, the stars of NASCAR battle it out for the Shriners Children's 500 at Phoenix Raceway. There is nothing like witnessing a live NASCAR battle at 200 miles per hour on this 1-mile oval raceway in the foothills of the Estrella Mountains. Okay, 40 drivers are going to compete amongst the likes of Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, and so many more for an absolute wild ride over at Phoenix Raceway. It's, of course, best in-class fan experience the whole family won't forget. Get your tickets now at phoenixraceway.com. Now, of course, we are here on a lovely Sunday in Studio K, presented by our friends over at Circle K. They are America's thirst shop. I stopped there the other day as an Inner Circle member and got a discount on gas. Well, what kind of discounts are we talking? Well, start saving 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, and then every day after that, you guys can save 3 cents per gallon as well. So how do you sign up for Circle K's free membership program? Well, it's super easy. Just go to the App Store, download the app, and all you got to do is enter your email and phone number to be fully enrolled. Literally, after that, all you got to do, pull up to the pump, type in your phone number, and you're going to start cashing in on those deals. But that is not all. There's plenty of other member-exclusive deals and discounts within the app. They've got some great snacks. Big fan of the kettle-cooked jalapeno chips. Who knew Circle K could crank out some chips like that? My goodness. Go give them a try for yourselves. Thirst has officially met its match. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. JJB in the chat saying, what is there to say? It's a bummer. Yeah, I guess you're right. Chris in the chat saying, if the team keeps playing together well without BJ, it's a good thing. Yeah, I mean, at this point, Arizona State fans, you'll take a dub any way you can get it. So without BJ Freeman, who stepped up? Well, we talked about Amir Ali. Alston Mason continues to have a really good stretch of games, but let's be serious. Bottle service is going to a guy on the team that can't even pop a bottle because he's 17 years old. It's Jayden Quaintance. 18 points, 7 boards for the kid, not to mention 2 assists, 1 block, 2 steals. Did it in 26 minutes, 8 of 11 from the floor, and 2 of 4 from 3. My goodness. This guy is just, it's so fun to watch. And his growth has been really, really fun. I know there are some people that talk about the development of Bobby Hurley and, maybe there are some issues within his ability to be able to develop some of these players. I disagree if it relates to Jayden Quaintance, because I think Jayden Quaintance, when he first got to Arizona State, there was a little bit of uncertainty how much he would impact the offense, right? You knew what you were getting defensively. He plays great defense inside the paint, the perimeter. He's a shot blocker. He can recover well. He can do it all. You knew he could pass. The dribbling was a little bit of a question, and maybe his shot in general, right? For anything outside of a layup or a dunk. I feel like he has answered those questions. He has gotten better as the season has progressed. Again, 18 points, the leading scorer for Arizona State tonight, and it looked like he was the real deal. I highly, highly encourage every Arizona State fan that really, really loves and supports ASU basketball to watch Jayden Quaintance over the next however many games he plays. You hope the injury doesn't keep him out too long, if at all. Again, went down late in the game with potentially an ankle or a knee injury. So you hope that it's just they kept him out because of precaution, because they were up by so much, and you'll get him back. But continue to watch his development as the rest of the season goes on, because if this kid's in Tempe or if he's not, he is going to the NBA one day. Jayden Quaintance will be an NBA player, a potential lottery pick. Like, he's 17 years old. Look what he's doing. He's the youngest player in college basketball, in Division I college basketball, and he's going for 18, 7, 2, 1, and 2 in 26 minutes on a team that, again, going into this game, had just won 3 conference games. He's given it everything he has, and everything he has is really, really damn good to watch. Jayden Quaintance, bottle service, take a bow, put some ice on that knee instead of popping bottles, and get ready for what's ahead for Arizona State. Before we get to what's ahead for Arizona State, I want to get into aftertaste. Aftertaste, something we teased a little bit last post-game show. We ended up doing it very late in this one. But this is the first time that the Sun Devils have got a dub in a while. I want to know what this one tastes like. So, Captain Redbeard, I'm going to go ahead and kick it to you. What was dismissed from your plate and into your face tunnel today?
I'm going to go with some good barbecue.
Some good barbecue?
Yeah, they got
Set the scene for me.
Well, they got some good BBQ in Kansas State. In the state of Kansas. They've got some good barbecue just all around that area of
all
the
around
country.
Okay.
This felt like, it's a road game. I went and watched it. Going up to a food truck before the game, just getting a nice little, plate of barbecue brisket on the plate. It's just, you can literally lift up the brisket, and it's so just good. Dripping with barbecue sauce.
So good. What's your perfect barbecue plate?
Ooh, probably brisket.
Let's say, I was gonna say, there's some restrictions here. You can have two meats,
okay,
and 2 sides.
Okay.
Perfect plate.
Brisket, pulled pork. Then I'm gonna go cornbread.
Ooh, great pull.
And then
there is a right answer for this last one.
Is there?
I think there is.
I know there's a wrong answer.
What's your wrong answer?
Like coleslaw.
Yeah. Coleslaw is so mid.
Yeah. No, I would go. Trying to think.
There's a couple different ways you could take it.
Potatoes.
Potatoes? Are we straight potatoes? Are we going like potato skins? Are we going?
If they serve like a baked potato or
baked potato's good.
Like anything like that, I'll definitely get that for sure.
What's everyone's favorite barbecue plate in the chat? I agree with you. I think brisket is a solid one. Pulled pork. You could make the argument for sausage in there because a good barbecue sausage is always really good. But I'll stick with pulled pork and brisket. I'll go with the cornbread. And then I'm gonna go macaroni and cheese. Macaroni and cheese, like a good mac and cheese from a good brisket place, is tough to beat. I think potato salad and a mac salad are a good 1-2. I mean, you got the rolls in there. Like, there's so much. Now I'm just hungry. Good. Maybe I'm just really, really hungry. For me, what was dismissed from my plate and into my face tunnel, I'm gonna go ahead and say this one tasted like a Capri Sun. Like when you were a kid and you had just come from playing basketball with all your friends or football for hours on end. You finally get home, you're drenched in sweat, you're tired, it's a Saturday, you got the rest of your day, but you just need something. You need a fresh air, right? You need something to just be like, and you go to the outside fridge in the garage, you open it up, and what is that? It is just a new, unopened box of Capri Suns. You grab one in, and boom. It's just, it's like you're on cloud nine. You're on cloud nine, and that's where I feel like Arizona State fans, if you're just looking at this game in a whole, you should be feeling good. That one was, the Capri Sun, man, a Capri Sun with some barbecue would go.
Ooh,
that would go kind of crazy.
No free ads.
No free ads. But ooh, that would be nice. Really good. Let's go ahead. Let's get to the Bobby board. Take a look at what's ahead for your Arizona State Sun Devils down the stretch. But first, we got a new Bobby face, Kyle. We haven't got a new Bobby face in a long time. My goodness, the fewest we've seen while the Bobby board has been alive in the history of PHNX Sun Devils. Just 4 new Bobby heads in conference play. Ridiculous. 2 over Colorado, 1 over West Virginia in this one, snapping a 6-game Big 12 losing streak for Arizona State. This has been a tough, wild ride for the Sun Devils, but can you get 4 in a row? 4 in a row after this, or 4 in a row including this, doesn't really matter, would go a long way for the Sun Devils. You got BYU up next. That's a Wednesday nighter. Then you got Utah, I believe, on a Saturday. Then you got Arizona, a late tip on a Tuesday night. And you close off the regular season before you head to the Big 12 tournament against Texas Tech. BYU, fresh off a big win over Arizona. Say what you want. A win's a win. Utah has been a unique team over the month of February, getting some wins that people wouldn't think they should get. Arizona, it's your rival. Anything can happen. And then a Tech team that Arizona State took to double overtime, but JT Toppin just was too much. How many of those do you see realistically for Arizona State getting a win?
I'm going to go 2.
2?
I'm going to be optimistic here.
Wow, that's optimism at its finest.
Their play convinced me today.
Okay, where do you see those 2 coming from?
I'm going to take they're not going to beat BYU. They look really good.
They do look really good. Still not in the AP top 25, by the way.
No. They will be, though.
Kind of odd. I think
eventually.
Yeah, I think eventually, too. I think that's a team that you need to watch out for in the Big 12 tournament. Don't let BYU sneak into anything. Don't give them a chance, because if they do, they'll take a mile. So they don't beat BYU. That gives you Utah, Arizona, and Tech to get 2. Where do you think? You think it's Arizona?
They're going to take Utah.
Okay, take Utah. I could see that one, especially if they play the way they did this afternoon. I could see them pulling off a win over Utah.
And they're going to beat Texas Tech.
They're going to beat Texas
at home, right?
Tech.
I think they're playing at home.
Yeah. Wow. Captain Redbeard calling it, says Arizona State goes 2-2 in their last 4 games, getting a dub over Utah and Tech. Let me know in the chat, what do you think is Arizona State's final record over this last 4-game stretch? You know, I loved what they did this afternoon. I am a little bit of a pessimist in the sense that, okay, they did it once. You need to show me that you could do it a number of times before I really start to believe. I'm going to say they go 1-3. I'm going to say that Arizona State beats Utah. They lose to BYU. They lose to Tech, and they lose to Arizona. That would be a tough end of the season. But I think being able to get 2 of your last 5 would be a big, okay, at least it wasn't a total train wreck down to the end of the year. I don't think going 1-3, and I don't think going 2-2 means Bobby Hurley will be back next season, to be honest with you. Chris thinks that Arizona State's going 3-4. Let me know where you think they get those wins, Chris. I'm curious. BC in the chat reminding everybody that BYU did beat Arizona. If you didn't catch that game, just type in BYU and Arizona. There are a lot of things, some disgusting chants by the Tucson community going towards BYU, and then some questionable calls down the stretch that Arizona fans were not happy with that ultimately gave BYU a chance to win it. Ernesto in the chat saying 2-2, ASU is going to beat BYU in Arizona and lose to Utah and Tech. Do you think, Kyle, that how they go 2-2 would make a difference in Hurley staying at the end of the year?
Well, first of all, I have to call you out because you said that ASU would beat Arizona one out of the two matchups, and now you're going against it.
Now I'm going against it. Yes, I will absolutely take that. The last time I bet on Arizona State to beat Arizona, I had to go get a haircut. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say that Arizona wins this next matchup. Again, I don't think we've seen enough over the course of the last 2 months to say confidently that Arizona State is going to carry over this performance. You'd love it. That would be the dream. We'll see. You got to, I feel like, temper the optimism just a little bit here. But do you think a win over Arizona and BYU or a win over Arizona and Tech makes a giant difference for Hurley? Or is it really like you just need to win the next 4 in a row if there's going to be any conversation?
Part of me thinks that if they beat Arizona and Tech to end the season, that's pretty wild.
It would be wild.
Like ending the season on those are two huge wins.
2 tournament teams.
Yeah, 2 tournament teams right before they're entering the tournament.
One's on the road.
Yeah, that would just be crazy. So I could see the argument once again. If they beat those 2 teams, maybe you could convince me. But I really do think, the only way this might have a chance is they have to win out.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Either win out or make some miracle run in the Big 12 tournament.
Right.
Which, again, we've already kind of talked about being really, really unlikely given the fact that you have so many juggernauts in this conference, like a Kansas, Texas Tech, and Arizona. BYU is great in any given game. Iowa State, like there are some teams. I mean, don't even sleep on Kansas State. Again, they were without Hawkins tonight, who is one of their best players, if not their best player. Like we've seen them take down some teams that nobody thought they would take down. Heck, I'm pretty sure Colorado got a big win the other day in this conference. Like anything can really happen when it comes to Big 12 basketball. But for me, I need to see it to believe it, and I need to see it more than one time before I say Arizona State is going to be doing and dancing all the way into March. So we'll see. Still got a lot more to get to on the PHNX Sun Devils show, but we are going to take our final break. Guys, I think we should all be blessed. Why, you might ask? Well, because we live in the age of 2 things. The PHNX Sun Devils show and Waymo. First off, the technology over at Waymo is next level. It is always so interesting and such a unique experience for me just driving down the street and seeing one of their vehicles. It truly is a magical sight. If you've ever been in a Waymo, it takes it to the next level, okay? Waymo's autonomous ride-hailing service consists entirely of all-electric Jaguar I-PACE vehicles, providing a consistent zero-emission experience for all of their riders. And look, they do about 150,000 trips per week across San Francisco, LA, and Phoenix. Waymo has over 40 million miles of real-world driving experience. That's enough to drive to the moon and back 80 times. Download the Waymo One app and ride today. Look, I say it every single day. Now is the time to get ready for the rest of your life. It's still so early into 2025. Make that jump, make a big move, and do it with our friends over at Carol Royce. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or a seasoned pro, buying a home can be kind of tricky. That's why we recommend our friend Carol Royce. Okay, our real estate market is competitive, but like a great coach, the Carol Royce team is going to build you a game plan to get you into the perfect home for you. Okay, you can become a VIP buyer, get access to off-market properties that haven't even been picked over. You won't find these homes on Zillow or Realtor.com. Okay, Carol's so confident you guys are going to love your home that if within 18 months you aren't happy with it, the Carol Royce team is going to buy it back. Buy one of Carol's homes, and she's going to buy yours for cash. If you're ready to find your dream home, take the next step, call Carol Royce or visit Carol online at carolroyceteam.com. That's carolroyceteam.com. Terms and conditions apply. Ron in the chat saying, hey, Totri, hey, good win today for the boys. Glad they are still fighting. That's another big thing, right? This team very easily, with everything that has gone on over from the start of 2025, in reality, ejections, rumors about coaching changes, losses, injuries, depth questions, could have very easily given up. Could have very easily said, you know what? We're just going to fold here. We're going to play the rest of the season half-ass, and we're just going to go that way, right? We're going to enter the portal when we enter the portal at the end of the season, whatever. That is not the approach that this team has taken. Say what you want about the losses. They have fought in a number of these games, and finally they were able to break through against a Big 12 opponent. This is the win that they needed to have. Getting a 12-point dub without BJ Freeman, doing it at the hands of Jayden, Quaintance, and Amir Ali, like you needed it. And you can't question the fight of this team and the guys on it anymore. They want to win these games, and they finally got one. So you got to give them a pat on the back for that. It was needed, and Sun Devil fans, again, I think they needed it as much as anybody as well. We are going to do something a little bit different on today's post-game show. Normally we wrap up with closing time, but we do have Hot or Not today since we didn't do it on Friday, and it's the last show of the week. Let's have a little fun on a Sunday. But before we get to Hot or Not, we are going to do closing time, guys. So closing time presented by the Carol Royce team, your home sold guaranteed realty, where Carol's going to guarantee to sell your home for 100% of market value, or she's going to pay you the difference. Learn more at carolroyceteam.com. One takeaway from this one, and I just kind of said it, guys. We needed this. You needed it like a baby needed its bottle. You needed it like a breath of fresh air. You needed it like a glass of water in the middle of the night when you got the sweats. You just needed it. You needed to be able to get one and say, hey, we can win. Sometimes it's just about seeing the ball go through the hoop. For Arizona State, the ball went through the hoop today more than it did for Kansas State. That's all it took. That's all it took. What a dub. What a win. It feels weird not ending the show to this music, Captain Redbeard.
You did this.
I know I did this. I did this, and I regret my decision. But
we're gonna make it happen.
We
we're
will.
Gonna make it work.
Let's go ahead. Let's get into Hot or Not. Why don't we, huh? Hot or Not, for those of you that are new here, highly encourage you all. Stick around, give your thoughts in the chat. Hot or Not is something that we do. Captain Redbeard comes to the table once a week with 3 very random topics. And we're just going to kind of debate, go back and forth if we think the topic is hot or if it's not. And I'd love to hear it from everybody in the chat as well. What do we got for topic numero uno, Captain Redbeard?
For numero uno, we have headbands. Hot or not?
Headbands, okay. Like headbands the game, or like headbands the legit headband that you put on?
Yeah, the legit headband that you put on.
I mean, this is a tough one for me because I feel like and I might be wrong here, I feel like it's commonplace for people to like headbands, but I am somebody that just doesn't see the point in it. Like headbands are supposed to like help the sweat coming out from your head, right? I at this stage in my life, I have no use for a headband. I think when players wear them, they're good for like a game. It's like, oh, like, did you see the D-Book headband game? Like some of those, you should never wear a headband consistently, like all the way through the season. I think it's corny. I think it's cheesy. I don't think it really makes that much of a difference. It's just to me. And there's no fashion or style to it whatsoever. Like you can't make a headband go with anything on the court, really. That's just my thoughts on it.
You could match the color. Like it could be a team color.
But I'd rather, like, if it's all about that, then I'm just gonna give me an arm sleeve. I'd rather, or a leg sleeve. I'd rather have one of those than a headband. Headband, I just feel like it's goofy. I feel like the way it sits on your head, I just don't like it.
Have you tried it?
A headband?
Yeah.
I've worn a headband before, yeah. I've not recently. Have you?
I've never worn a headband.
You've never worn a headband?
Never been a headband guy.
I mean, it's the right answer to the question. So are you saying it's hot or not?
It's not.
Not hot? I agree. It's not hot whatsoever.
No.
What's topic number 2?
Chopsticks.
Hot as hell. Absolutely hot as hell. I would go as far to say that chopsticks are the hottest utensil that you can use to eat food. More than a fork, a knife, whatever.
A spork?
A spork is very dynamic. I like chopsticks because for me, I'm somebody that eats very fast, right? And chopsticks, like, I guess the intention is always so, like, you allow your food to digest. You're not just rushing food into your body. So I just like chopsticks. I like the way I just like using chopsticks. Like, anytime I go to any sort of restaurant that allows me to have chopsticks, I will get chopsticks. Heck, I'll go to, like, a Panda Express and get chopsticks over a fork.
Okay.
Like, that's what I'm on. What about you?
But the only thing I would say is the efficiency is not there with chopsticks.
Well, I think the efficiency is all within the holder of the chopsticks. I think if you know how to use chopsticks well, then you could do it. It's like saying the 3-point shot's not an efficient shot, man. If you know how to sit back there and fire away, it looks pretty efficient to me.
But if you have like a big spoon, like that's going to beat a chopstick every day, you know?
Yeah, but you lose a lot. I feel like if you're using a spoon versus chopsticks, it's much easier for you to get fuller quicker because you're just shoveling food into your mouth, right? That's like American utensils, forks and spoons, like, is literally just dedicated to, it's like a baby shovel for your mouth, right?
Yeah.
At least with chopsticks, like, it almost feels like there's a little bit of an art to the cuisine, It
does add to it.
It does.
Yeah.
So are you a chopsticks guy or no?
I am. Yeah, I just wanted to test your loyalty to chopsticks.
I will die for chopsticks, okay? Bring us home. What do we got to round it out?
To round it out, naps.
Naps?
Yeah, taking a nap.
This is a controversial topic because there are people that like to take naps. There are people that can't take naps. There are people that take naps and then wake up and it's like, okay, I went to sleep on Tuesday. It's Thursday now. It really depends on, man, it's tough. It's tough because I feel like I take naps and I am that person that wakes up either feeling really refreshed or I wake up and I feel like I have been hit by a bus. Wow. I'm going to say, as I've gotten older, naps have become less hot to me.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't sleep as well in the night. Like, it's just, I'd rather just toughen it out, go get some caffeine, and then I can sleep through the night when I need to sleep, as opposed to, like, just kind of pickpocketing some time to sleep. Different answer than maybe you were expecting?
I was not expecting that.
What do you think?
I actually kind of agree with you. I've learned a way to take a nap where you literally, like a floor lay, you literally just lay on the floor. And if you lay on, like, the hard floor taking a nap, and you're only going to take a 10, 20-minute nap.
Yeah.
Because it's not comfortable. But if you're tired enough and you need a nap,
you get some sleep.
You get some sleep, you're on the floor, like, you get your 10, 20 minutes. It's kind of weird. It sounds weird, but trust me, like, if you try it, like, it works. At least it works for me. It's like, man, I did that literally yesterday. Like,
you slept on a hard floor yesterday?
Yeah, I was like, I need a 10-minute nap, power nap here. And because there's something about, and there's research behind this, but you sleeping in your bed, like taking a nap in your bed versus anywhere else, like, your mind is programmed to have your bed as, your time for going, like, for a long sleep.
Elongated sleep.
Yeah. And then, so if you go, like, on, like, a hard floor, like 10 minutes, I heard they do this in the military. You'll take a nap on just hard floor, like a 10-minute nap, and it works.
Wow.
I mean, your mind's like, okay, this is obviously not where I sleep at night. Like, I'm just going to sleep for like 10, 20 minutes. This is all I need.
Catch me in PHNX Studios, just sleeping on the ground from now on, guys. That is going to do it for today's episode of the PHNX Sun Devils Show. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And make sure you drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Of course, we got a full week of shows coming for you guys next week. Back at it on Monday. Rubus will be back from his dismissal, so just a 1-game suspension for the kid. But, we're happy to get him back on the roster. If you enjoyed today's content, give the show a follow at PHNX_Sun Devils on social. You can follow me on social at Anthony_Totri. You can follow the captain of this lovely, lovely ship, the man taking naps on his floor, I guess, at this point. You can follow that guy at K Coop Sports on social. We appreciate everybody taking the time today. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And as always, go Devils. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.